Hello, me again. Part 2 of the DC01 prototype build. Last night we did the Numpad. I learnt a little something from talking to David and Ben. I got the Pogo Pins back to front. So the male ones I had on the other side, I had them poking out this side. And they were poking out way too far. You can probably see, yeah, they're poking out less this time, and those ones are a bit more visible. Cool, so that bit was done off camera because it took ages. I've stuffed the switches. I'm just going to carry on. So much like last night, I'm going to take the sides off with my fancy wow stick screwdriver, if you're wondering what it is. Not much torque. The magnet's still making everything hilariously good fun. Oops. Decided a different camera angle for tonight. Was struggling to get around where I'd put the camera last night with my soldering iron. Still working out the best place to put it. Cool, so there we go. PCB is here. I need to fit 3 stabilizers, 1, 2, 3. Going to use the lovely Durock V1 stabilizers. There's one. There's 2. There's 3. And a little sort of thought about the best order to do this, because with the Pogo Pins it is relatively tricky to fit the Pogo Pins alongside everything else. Let's screw these stabilizers in. Bring this parts tray over here and push that keyboard back a bit. Four. Cool. Stabs are secured. All good. And then I need to make sure the USB port goes in first. we go. That went in quite nicely. So I just need to snug the PCB down, make sure I've got all of the switches in 2U positions lined up nice. Just check I've not got any bent switch pins. I think I've got one bent switch pin here on. Just gonna gently lift the PCB up again. Looks better. There he is. Cool. So just snugging this down onto the switches so that everything's nice and level. Taking a bit of a firm squeeze. I don't know if it's these stubs. No, it's okay. It's just taking a little bit of time to work around all of the switches around the edge. Oh, now I have definitely got a bent switch pin. Rats. Curses. Foiled again. Let's see if I can rescue that. My favourite tool for straightening bent switch pins is my little Leatherman. Just a pair of needle nose pliers. He says as he swaps to another tool, because he has folded it all the way down. I'm going to pop that switch out and sort it properly. I'm just going to unfold it with my fingernail and then crimp it straight with my little Leatherman pliers. Rescued. Magic. Cool. Right. Take 3. Other way. What a fool. There we go. That's why it wasn't playing nicely. So start around the edges again. The 5-pin switches are quite tight in this PCB, I will say. That's good, not complaining. It's not a hot swap PCB. It does look like the switch apertures would be Milmax compatible if you decide you like that sort of thing. Cool. That's looking like we've got that all worked in nicely. Cool, right. Grab a bit of solder from up above. Doobie-doop. Had a long chat with a few people on the Mechboards server today about lead solder. I use Delta brand leaded solder 6040. It's my favourite. As you can see, it doesn't smoke much. Lead solder is safe if you wash your hands after using it, which I always do. You can't absorb it through breathing it. What can be harmful is the flux fumes. They can be bad for people with asthma and other lung conditions. They can exacerbate your asthma. Turn them round. Always glad to see these on a PCB, ISP programming headers. If everything goes absolutely wrong, you can recover a PCB using a flashing tool like a USB ASP, USB ASP, or even a Pro Micro that's been flashed with the right firmware, and you can put the bootloader back on quite easily. But very few people need them. It's just me that does lots of keyboard repairs. Right, let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Cool. That's all gone nicely. So tonight we're going to do the Pogo Pins the correct way round. We're going to make sure that we have the pointy springy ones going this way and the flat inert ones on this little island here. And again, like last night, we're going to pop the sides back on just to guide where we go in terms of height and angle with these. Seems to be the best way to do it at the moment. I haven't gathered from the bosses, the guys, is I think, whoops, what am I saying? I'm talking about these Pogo Pins when the board moves to a bigger group buy. I need to work out how that's going to work. Try and not get caught by the magnet. Oh, I'm doing well with the screws tonight. Cool. Right, so those are fitted. We just need to solder them now. So I'm going to grab my forceps. Grab my forceps. In fact, order of operations, I'm going to just put a tiny dab of solder on the first one, and then holding so as not to burn my fingers. Ow! So I think I need to lift up to get the angle I want. I had talked with Ben and David about the possibility of 3D printing a filler piece for these side portions. I'm still thinking about it. Let's say it might be possible using a resin printer. But yeah, not sure. There's not much room. The anodizing on the case will do most of the protection against these shorting, because I think anodizing is non-conductive. Let's just do a little test fit with the Numpad that we built last night. I am going to have a poke with the multimeter again, because that's the sort of thing I do. I'll take the bottom off this one. I should probably leave the bottoms off until you've completely finished. Although there is, you can get to the bootloader without hitting the physical reset button on each part of the board. When you're building, it's always easier to have access to those physical resets. Alright, multimeter is just out of view. I've broken it. And continuity mode. Wobbly camera. Let's see if we've got continuity going across. Okay. Cool. So a little bit intermittent, that's just with me pushing and wobbling it on the desk. I think I'm happy with that side. Magnets. So this side, I'm going to do the same again. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of solder on the first one, and then use my forceps just to lift up. And then have a look. Looks good. A little bit high. Let's have a look. So I lift up the far end. Cool, that looks good. So I'm going to solder the closest end. Nice. Cool. So that looks good like that. I've do that continuity test again. Just looking at these pins here compared to the ones I've done just there, they're slightly deeper in. I think the PCB sits slightly further away from the edge. Let's grab my test leads again. I'm going to try and not touch the case this time. Just trying to get through the oxide layer. That's good. 4 points of contact. Looks like it sits nicely as well. Cool. Screws are all in there, all 4 screws on the side panels. Might as well plug it in and give it a quick test. Just a cheap testing USB cable at the moment. Just wrap open the QMK testing website, config.qmk.fm. Dodgy USB cable. Oh yeah, I forget that Numlock doesn't do anything on Macintosh. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Numlock /* plus not working. Did I forget to solder it? No. Enter is working. Let's just use my tweezers just to bridge the switch positions. I am using this with a firmware I've not had a chance to look at in terms of what's assigned. Not getting anything on the plus in this instance, so I will have to have a delve into the firmware when I get a chance, because I'm fairly confident that that switch is working. Let's do this. Those terminals are common. Oh, this is a bit fiddly. Yeah, so the switch works. It's going to be probably a firmware issue. Just looking at the associated diodes, they're all in the right place. So yeah, well, let me just reflow that. I'm going to unplug before I touch it with my soldering iron, as you always should. Let's reflow those. Plug back in. Tell you what I can do, I have got a different hex to try. Let's do that. So I'll just pop open QMK toolbox. Sorry, I don't have screen capture set up at the moment. Let's open Numpad default.hex. Flash. Success. Yeah, everything else is working apart from that one position, so we'll have a look at the firmware. Cool. So there we have part 2 of the DC01 build. Nothing too faffy tonight. Goes together nicely with the magnets. There we go. Looks good. I will sign off there for tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow for... We might do the whole keyboard, we might just do half. We'll see how we get on.